You are watching the 2022 World Lacrosse Women's World Championship on ESPN. This evening, Lax lovers receive a long-awaited rematch at United Stadium in Towson, Maryland. Team Australia takes to the turf to meet Team England, who edged them for a bronze medal 5 years ago. The Women's World Championships, previously known as the World Cup, date back to 1982. The United States has won gold 8 of the 10 tournaments, Australia the other 2. These games haven't been played on U.S. soil since 2005, but you can watch them all on ESPN. Last night in Pool A play, the USA met Canada. Charlotte North sparked the American offense. Marie McCool used her terrific speed, and the ball movement was outstanding as Sam Apuzzo and friends outlasted our neighbors to the north. It is so great to see you again. Alongside Courtney Martinez-Connor, a 5-time national champion at Maryland, I'm Joe Beninati. Court, let's dive right into this matchup. These two sides have a long history together in the World Championships.
They do. Dating back to 2017, these two met in that bronze medal game. England coming out on top, but I do expect for a big battle and a close one tonight.
There are so many all-world performers throughout this tournament who keep coming back for more. For Hannah Nielsen and Australia, it's another kick at the can.
Hannah Nielsen, she is a true veteran, a leader for Australia. She's been a mainstay since 2005 on the senior national team when they won that first gold medal in that title matchup versus U.S. the last time they were here on U.S. soil.
Hannah's English counterpart is the remarkable Laura Merrifield. She can trace her national team roots back to 2007.
Laura Merrifield, another one of those players. She had her collegiate career here in the United States at Maryland, led them to a national championship as well as a runner-up, and she has really propelled Team England into that next phase. Obviously, I mentioned that they had won the bronze last time, and she wants to have a good end to her career.
For these two teams, all the nervous energy in advance of the tournament opener. When we return, Australia and England in the opening draw.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for the sweat, the tears, the pride, and for the celebration we share.
When I reach for a stick, it's like I'm shaking hands with history. Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
It's more than a game to me. It's a gift to be a positive force in young athletes' lives. And I'm thankful I can help the next generation develop a love for the sport.
When I was his age, those moments on the field meant everything. Thank you for giving us a way to stay connected, even as they get older.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
You give me the opportunity to fuel aspirations
and to ignite potential.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
safer,
and wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
for everyone.
It's coming. The world is coming to San Diego. 30 nations, 30 teams. Only one will be crowned world champion. There's nothing like playing for your country. This is the pinnacle of sport. Be here as legacies are forged and history is made.
Australia, the 4th seed in this tournament, is 2 times a gold medal winner in the past in the World Championships court back in 1986 and in 2005.
You know, it doesn't go lost on Team USA. They are the host for this championship, but Australia remembers that's when they last won. Trish Adams right there, head coach for Team Australia. She also had her collegiate career here in Maryland, as well as Phil Collier for
who
Team
is
England.
the national team director for Team England. 2022 World Lacrosse Women's World Championships. The officials tonight, Liz Brush is the head official from the United States. Annika Altenheim hails from Germany. Rena Whitehouse from the US. And our table official from the Czech Republic, Lenka Peškova. Inside the draw circle, England in red, Australia in green, Stacey Morlang and Liv Wimpenny. They scramble for that initial ground ball. Two teams that know each other well. Whittle gets cleaned out. Hit hard there in the open field by Beck Lane. It was Megan Whittle who scored the bronze medal winning goal back in 2017. A rainy day, 4 overtime period affair.
Joe, that's not something you forget. Your team Australia, obviously you have some long-standing memories, that rivalry through and through between Australia and England, competing quite often. Many of these players have seen one another for several world championships or formerly World Cup.
These two sides haven't faced off against each other since that game in 2017. Claire Ferrum is 13 in the red. Off the ISO, Shires feeds inside, that gets away. Bounding towards the sideline. There is no shot clock in the Women's World Championship. As we approach the 2-minute mark of this opening quarter, Joe Beninati, Courtney Martinez-Connor with you. Southorn looking to go to goal. She is fouled inside that 11-meter fan.
This is already one of those differences than our fans who are used to watching the NCAA game internationally. It's an 11-meter fan. And there's no hanging hashes. We see that there's 5 on that 11-meter fan. A little bit more space to have away from those defensive players.
Southorn closing in, missed the target there. Addie Cunningham is in goal for green-clad Australia. Just getting going between these two teams. Numbers 3 and 4 seeds in Pool A play. Pool A, the United States, Canada, Australia, England, and Scotland. Shires off the pump fake, met by Lane, rolls it in, draws another foul.
The swarming defense of Australia right there. Obviously, a shooting space call was made. That's when you're more than a stick length away, hopping right into that lane of that attacker heading to goal.
Shires is in her first World Championship performance. She steps in, draws a double, and gets smacked around the head. And this is a yellow card.
We see right there, it was the lower defensive player that the referees are calling for that check high to the head.
My apologies, no card. Free position shot again once more. Bounced over top by Shires. Closest to the ball where and when it leaves the surface after a shot maintains possession there for England.
Large difference that we see is 6v6 offensively and defensively as well inside of that restraining area. It creates bigger lanes for the offense.
Whittle fires and scores! She got the jump on the defender, Theo Kloss, and made no mistake.
Megan Whittle, I feel like she might have heard me say these lanes are bigger at the international game, and we see all of that space to her right-hand side. There's not a defender in sight to be able to slide. Again, they're coming from a farther distance defensively, so that's a bigger advantage when the attacker is 6v6 compared to defensively. You have to travel farther to try and hedge and show for your team. An excellent dodge for Megan Whittle, seeing that space and taking it.
Phil Collier, head coach for England, giving Whittle the thumbs up. Calls her the fastest player on this team. She tallied 9 times in the World Championships of 2017, including that huge marker in overtime that pushed England past Australia for the bronze medal. Lacrosse in Australia, you can trace it back to as early as 1904 at the Melbourne Girls Grammar School. This, the 11th all-time World Championships, dating back to 1982. Pushing towards the 5-minute mark of this opening frame and the draw circle possession. belongs to Wimpenny and Team England. Emily Knowles had a touch there, 17 in the red, third-team All-American who played collegiately, or still does, in fact, at North Carolina. She'll be heading into her senior year in 2023. Olivia Hopp turns, draws two, feeds inside. That's a routine save for Addie Cunningham. Goalie has 10 seconds to clear that goal circle.
Another note that you see a lot of contact in the international game. Obviously, referees allow for a little bit more play on the field. It makes for less whistles, a little bit more of an exciting game at the international level. However, a big difference on the field is self-starts, limited to having to have your feet stop in the middle of the field. So while the game has progressed in other areas, advanced a little bit, there's still some international rules that need to catch up with the speed of the NCAA game.
Chloe Chan shadowing Georgia Latch all the way to the end line. 6-on-6 inside the restraining line. Nielsen offers for Theo Quas, another former Maryland Terrapin. Lone goal on the board belongs to Megan Whittle of England. Nielsen, who's the present-day head coach at Michigan in the Big Ten. Hannah in her 5th World Championship tournament.
You know, one thing we saw England do right there, as soon as the ball was in Hannah Nielsen's stick, they sent a quick double, and that's a very smart thing to do. She is so seasoned on this team, and just because this is her 5th World Championship, it doesn't mean she's a player who's not going to head to goal, and England's recognizing that, which I think is incredibly smart on their part.
Quas set for this free position shot, looking for the equalizer in the early going. Quas fires and scores!
Theo Quas, you had mentioned she's a Maryland grad. Maryland, obviously one of the perennial powers within the NCAA. I was very impressed with her play when we watched teams as they traveled in, had their training camps here within the U.S. Her speed, her agility. She wasn't one of the go-to players at Maryland, but on Team Australia, she plays her part, does it well. She uses her speed, and especially in an instance like that, off of that 11-meter free position.
She seems to easily separate from her defender. Has a great first step. Her acceleration off the free position shot there very strong, tying this game at 1 apiece. Running time in the first 3 quarters. They'll stop it in the remaining 30 seconds. In the 4th, we play stop time in the last 2 minutes. 1-1 here at Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. Earlier today on this field in Pool B, Israel over top of Korea. Lindsay McCone, 4 goals and 2 assists in that one. Whittle marching to the net. We hear a whistle. Megan Whittle is definitely the fire starter for this English offense.
Megan is known for her quickness. She loves that high side. She likes to get a quick first step and seal off her defenders right behind her. It was her bread and butter when she was in college and has continued with it. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Ferrum off the split dodge. Quas is there to defend. Low scoring opening frame. Shires swings for Wimpenny. Bring it this way for Whittle. Whittle closing in. Good double team, quick stick check there, and the Aussies force the turnover. Beck Lane had troubles on the clear. An in-tight chance, and Southorn just missed the mark from point blank.
That was a great job of the defensive player for Australia, getting back in, holding her stick out, trying to affect the shot of the English player. And then again, goalie watching every step of that way. Goalkeepers, it's eyeball. That's your job. Save it. Ultimately, I thought it was a little bit of a close call. Could have been the goalkeeper's ball, maybe closest to backing it up. We see different lines. Obviously, we're how far up?
Shires inside. Got the jump there on Sarah Smith. Backed up by Homp. Homp floats it over the top. Stepping down Ferrum. Inside, she scores! Claire Ferrum has him jumping for joy on the England sideline.
Come on!
Claire Ferrum, one of the many players from Loughborough University. I love the ball movement, waiting until they find that open player right here. And she winds up like she's going to shoot, but then takes an extra step, dodging and weaving through those sticks. That's a smart attacking player. You want to make sure just because a stick is in front of you that you don't slow your momentum down. She tucked it and continued to give herself a better angle, nice and close in front of the goal.
Ferrum, the captain for this Team England, getting well-deserved refreshments and congratulations. Courtney, she grew up playing on a hill, running up and down a hill. Her stamina, they say, is legendary as a result. The hills of Northern England. Wimpenny takes this draw against the veteran Stacey Morlang, 3 times an all-world performer, 21 in the green. Morlang whistled there for the foul. This is Liv Thomas. Tall midfielder as Morlang will step out.
Joe, Stacey Morlang receiving the first yellow card of the evening. Known Stacey for a long time. She was a graduate of Loyola University in Maryland back in 2002.
If memory serves, we had only 1 yellow card last night. The opener of Pool A play, it came against the United States' Charlotte North. So Australia, for the next couple of minutes, playing 1 player down. Now in possession of the ball and sprinting on the clear. 4 minutes to go in this opening quarter. Whittle and Ferrum for England. Quass for Australia in green. Good ball movement inside. Score! A layup for Beck Lane.
An excellent job of clearing the ball with speed. And even though Team Australia is a man down, they were finding open players left and right. Hard to do when you have 1 less player on the field. Theo Quass finding Beck Lane right on the crease. When you push momentum in a fast break, it's all about using your athleticism, your speed to gain steps ahead of your defensive players. And that's exactly what they did. Again, a player down for 2 minutes. Very hard to score a goal in that same amount of time.
Beck Lane with a shorthanded goal. Beck, the 2-year captain of the St. Joe's University Hawks. Phil Collier, watching from the sideline for England, knows just how prolific the young college players on Team Australia can be. In this 2-2 game, 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the opening quarter. 60 minutes total of regulation time, divvied up into 4 quarters. The officials will stop time in the final half minute of the first, second, and third. Outside the fan, working it quickly, it's Emily Gray. Snapshot there from Whittle, rejected by Cunningham. As the whistles blare out, Addie Cunningham in goal, the face behind that mask. Dynamic, in the words of Trish Adams. Aussies back to even strength. Bounce shot, score! The bench reactions continue for England. Southorn gets on the board.
An excellent ride again, causing a turnover. Team England right there, putting a lot of pressure on the defense of Australia. Georgia Southorn scooping up that ground ball, attacking towards goal. They just seem a bit disorganized defensively, Australia, on the clear. And despite having 2 quick turnovers, which have culminated into goals for England, it's just still a 1-goal game. And if I'm correct, they haven't won very many draw controls either.
Setting up for the next one, tail end of this opening quarter of play. England has control of the draw circle to the tune of 5-0 in the first 14 minutes. Wimpenny gets a slow start there on Morlang, and it's a possession for Australia and Hannah Nielsen. Nielsen picked up on the perimeter by Emily Knowles.
That's a matchup that I think we'll see throughout the evening. Again, Emily Knowles just won a national championship with North Carolina, so why not put her on one of the top players for Australia offensively, wanting to neutralize that veteran in Hannah Nielsen.
Nielsen back behind the cage, passes over Knowles to the interior, knocked down to the turf. The scoop made by Ashton Hiron, she was fouled. Moved the ball quickly, feed it around for Bonnie Hugh. Hugh challenged on the outside by Claire Farrow. Time ticking, 10 seconds remaining in the quarter. Nielsen shoved away by Knowles. She comes up with the ground ball and only 2 seconds with which to work. The opening quarter is complete. England and Australia, seeds numbers 3 and 4 in Pool A play in this Women's World Championships. Plenty of emotion. These two teams at each other's throats in the opening frame. England has the lead by 1 after 15. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. The Australians trailing Team England 3-2 after 15 minutes of work in this Women's World Championship game on ESPN. Courtney, Sue Safarnos, the late Melly Safarnos, passed away in September of 2020. At the time, she was Team Australia's general manager, outstanding player, outstanding coach, and the Safarnos Foundation funded this Team Australia trip to the World Championships. Daughter Haley on the sideline.
Melly, as you so said, that her friends so affectionately called her, she is one of the most decorated Australian women's lacrosse players in its entirety. Played in 5 World Cup teams, as you mentioned, 3-time captain. She's just someone who really pushed each and every player. As her daughter said, she had an edge to her, but she was still gonna push you with love and compassion, just wanting each and every person to be the best that they could be each and every day.
Sue Safarnos loved a Winston Churchill quote. She said, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." When we look at 21 in the green, Stacey Morlang, she said of the late Melly Safarnos, how much that she ingrained the importance of friendship, mateship among the team in green, and that she still has a huge impact over this program.
Mateship indeed. The Australians, you love to watch, you love to listen to them. When you said Aussie, 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 I almost wanted to say oi, 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 and I'm not Australian, but so many friends out here, they just really get you excited to want to play the game, and that's something that Melly really did and instilled. There's not as many players playing in Australia as there are here in America, yet they still manage to put great teams together.
Good crowd in the stands here at Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland for this World Lacrosse Women's World Championship on ESPN. Shout out to thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew for their efforts today. It has been a long, long day for them. We appreciate their efforts. England in red, Australia in green. Foul call just about 1 minute into the second. Last player on the scoreboard for England, Georgia Southorn, giving them the lead. She has the ball now. Free position from the 11-meter fan. Steps in against Cunningham, bounce shot, kick save. Rebound, sprinted to safety. Morlang hovering near midfield. Running with her stride for stride, it's Emma Adams. England's defense, Adams and Oakley, Knowles and Chan tonight. Anna Featherstone and Tilly Foster are the alternates for Team England.
And we see Australia slowing things down a bit.
Stuffed out, the netminder Katie Greenwood in goal for England. Former Division II Goalie of the Year at Florida Southern College in Lakeland, FLA.
We see a player on England having to go 4 meters behind, something that you don't see often at the collegiate game in the middle of the field or outside of that critical scoring area. However, internationally, it's something that's still done, making sure the person who's done the foul is moving 4 meters behind.
Kloss works in off the split dodge from the sharp angle. That's stabbed by Greenwood. Katie Greenwood backed up by Britt Reid. Addie Cunningham backed up by Carly Evans. Good stick check on the ride. Courtney to the left of the screen. There's Greenwood with the stop.
You know, that was an excellent stop, forcing Australia to take shots down the alley. Exactly what you want to do as a team defensively. I would have liked to see Australia take a little bit more time in their offense to goal. They haven't had the ball much offensively, but when they've taken their time, really worked the ball around, find those better angles, they've been successful.
3 minutes now into the second quarter, which is scoreless. 3-2 advantage for England. Southorn, Farram, and Whittle on the board. Kloss and Lane for Australia. Lane was a short-handed tally. Sarah Smith will share it. Georgia latches 24 in the green up top. Bringing on around for Sarah Mollison.
We see the defense pushing out. Again, since it's just 6-on-6 inside, the slides have to come from a farther distance. Makes it a bit easier offensively. Australia spreading them out, looking for the matchup that's going to work best for them. Exactly what you want to find, being patient.
Quick stick inside off the crossbar. Sarah Smith rings the iron. Farram was fouled on the clearing attempt by Sarah Mollison. Mollison, this her 5th World Championships.
We talked a lot about Hannah Nielsen being a goal scorer, but her vision offensively is something that she was known for while she was at Northwestern. Won 4 national championships. She actually had more assists than she did goals, but was a leader in overall points. Her ability to see the field, see where players are moving. It's almost like chess pieces on the offensive end of the field.
We continue in this low-scoring affair. 3-2 for England. Looking for the first salvo of the second quarter. Southorn, last player to strike. Gets inside the 11-meter, forced away. Tight defense continues for the Aussies. This is Olivia Hopp, who was exquisite at Princeton. Just had her all-time point scoring record broken this year. Snapshot score! Cunningham overmatched by Whittle.
Megan Whittle always has an eye towards that goal. As soon as the ball is in her stick, we see that quick little stutter. She gains just a little step on her defensive player by making that little stutter, that jab on that defensive player, Steph McNamara. Megan Whittle, that ball comes out of her stick so quickly. She has a very quick release. She gets her hands up and away as she's maneuvering with her footwork. Incredibly fast release makes it very hard to save that ball.
England is the reigning European champions, winning the European Lax Championship in 2019. Whittle scored 5 goals against Israel in that Euro champ final. She has 2 today. England doubling up Australia. Lane popping that draw free. Taken on the run by Emily Gray. The officials giving possession to England. Courtney, this game in the World Championships played differently than what ESPN fans have seen women's lacrosse at the Division I level. There are rules changes.
Rules changes, the number of players that are on the field. You go from 12 in the NCAA down to 10. Again, spreading the field makes everything that you do a little bit of a farther distance. The size of the field is different. When you look at the 11-meter fan, there's no longer the 15. That's different from the 2017 World Championship. So a lot of differences, but some similarities that are just tweaked a little bit.
Tilly Shires sends it on around for Emily Gray. Gray described as very scrappy by head coach Phil Collier, as Hopp plays a 2-person game back behind the goal. Southorn set the screen. 6-on-6 inside that restraining box. Just less than 8 minutes to go in the half. Working underneath, Quas with the foul there as she planted Megan Whittle.
Joe, that's something that all of our NCAA women's lacrosse fans see over and over again, this 2-person game on the elbows right there. However, when you foul somebody up near the head, the referees, no matter if it's NCAA or international, they're gonna be calling a foul. It's all about safety. We see some players with goggles, some without. You do not have to wear goggles in international play either.
Quas was hit with the yellow card. Snapshot, good save, Cunningham. She snuffed that out at point-blank range. Officials, Liz Brush, Annika Altenhain, Rena Whitehouse, keeping things tidy. Georgia Latch comes back to clear. Cunningham matching Greenwood save for save.
Excellent job of Australia getting in, getting a stick on it. Ultimately, in goal, able to make another save.
Quick passing from Emma Oakley. Connecting with Knowles. She'll take it for a little ride. More than halfway through this second quarter. England the lone goal in this frame. Whittle her second on the night. She's had the ball in her cross a lot. It's been a busy evening so far for Beth Varga trying to chase her down. That Whistler goes wide of the goal. Cunningham very active around that goal circle. Gets out of there. Is forced back by Southorn, collected by Shires. Unsettled, nice pickoff by Cunningham, the netminder.
Joe, so much back and forth. In the wise words of Sue Stahl, longtime U.S. coach, she said, listen, we could win by 1 goal and we could stall the rest of the time. There are no shot clocks in the international game. I think what we've seen, just back and forth play, a little bit of frantic play, wanting to either score a goal too quickly or clear that ball too quickly. Patience is going to be the name of the game, especially with temperatures high throughout the day. We've seen a lot of games be taking water breaks in the middle of each quarter. So we are on turf. It is quite hot out here for these players. Again, just 10v10 on a large field.
You mentioned Sue Stahl. In her head coaching tenure of Team USA, 29-3-1. Not bad. Team USA in action tomorrow. It'll be the Pool A opener for Scotland against Jenny Levy's squad. Hannah Nielsen and Australia have the quick turnaround. They'll face Canada at 5 p.m. You can see both of those games on ESPN+. Shade more than 5 minutes to work in this half. Latch on the go. Latch off the flip. Keep it hot. Swing it back behind for Nielsen. And here Greenwood calling out the defensive assignments from the net. Nielsen fouled there by Emma Oakley. Mollison. Split dodge does not create room. Safarnos for Kwas once more. Off another split dodge, run to the ditch.
Team England's defense right now is smothering. They're getting in the passing lanes. Their sticks are up. Their feet are moving. They're making it very difficult for Team Australia to get a dodge off or a feed inside. They are working well together defensively.
Kwas stick checked on the outside by Knowles. Foul was called. We mentioned Australia's won gold twice in this tournament, both times on U.S. soil. The last time, Sarah Mollison, 9 in the green, was one of the youngest on that team that won in 2005 in Annapolis.
I remember watching her play. She was so young, just a teenager, and she was actually, at that point, being recruited by many different schools.
She has the ball now, does Mollison. A whistle-filled first half. And a card coming. The card assessed to England's Emily Gray. England playing one player down, 6 on 5.
We see a lot of substitutions coming on the field for Team Australia, wanting to get their players out there. Oftentimes team have set plays. This is a 6v5. Again, that's a lot of space offensively for you to work with. You want to make sure to spread them thin, get them moving and rotating in order to capitalize on finding that open player, oftentimes directly inside. But you do want to penetrate as you're swinging the ball around the perimeter, making sure you're also looking to begin your dodge in those motions, because sometimes they're just looking to stop the pass and not the dodge.
It's a long, dry spell for Australia. No tallies in this quarter. Nielsen looking to change that. Inside pass deflected down and scooped up by Team England on D. Temperatures throughout the day, well into the 90s here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Sun setting, the lights starting to take effect at Unitas Stadium. Megan Whittle has a couple of goals for red-jerseyed England, 2 better than Australia, as we get set for the free position shot. The officials have him in line. Hiron's chance is deflected. Backed up well. Quick restart to Nielsen. Skip pass down on the deck. They fight for it at the restraining line. Cover call gives the ball to England. Whittle snaking her way to the offensive end as England returns to full strength.
You know, one of the biggest things to mention when you are a player down or if you are playing offense and you're a player up, it's non-releasable. So that's a big difference between the NCAA game. All of our high school players who are watching here in the States, it's very similar to their yellow cards. You are able to rack up as many goals as possible during that time frame. So when you get a yellow card, it's a huge disadvantage to your team, and offensively you ideally want to capitalize not just once but as many times as you can.
England just balancing back up 6-on-6 now. Final 70 seconds of the opening half. Off the ISO from the top, neat moves from Shires. As she gets flattened, they play on. Shires with a look at the official saying, hello, where was the flag there? Cunningham will run with it. Final 50 seconds of the second quarter. Pass there on the clear, gets away. Turnover against Australia. Courtney, here was that last action for Shires inside the fan.
You know, it looks like the referees did not make a call. They felt that the attacker was moving her body into the sticks as opposed to the sticks moving at the offensive player.
Final half minute of the second quarter. Wimpenny dishes it on back. Farram with the fast feet gets to the lane, had her shot blocked. Final 10 seconds of the half. Australia with possession. The clock stops in the final 30 seconds of each of the first three quarters. Nielsen has to hot-foot it. She looks over her shoulder to see the time clock. One of her teammates was floored at the final horn. A low-scoring opening half. Georgia Latch snapping off those goggles. England has the 4-2 lead. The number 3 seed England over 4th seeded Australia. We're at the halftime break on ESPN.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. There goes Tiger. Just as sharp with the bending knee. My main man, Money the King. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like Ja Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard Queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for the sweat, the tears, the pride, and for the celebration we share.
When I reach for a stick, it's like I'm shaking hands with history. Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
It's more than a game to me. It's a gift to be a positive force in young athletes' lives. And I'm thankful I can help the next generation develop a love for the sport.
When I was his age, those moments on the field meant everything. Thank you for giving us a way to stay connected, even as they get older.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
You give me the opportunity to fuel aspirations
and to ignite potential.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better
Safer.
and wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
We are 30 minutes complete in Towson, Maryland. Pool A play continues from United Stadium. Australia and England in the Women's World Championships. We'll share highlights in just a moment. Young lacrosse fans bringing the whole club to Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. We are at the half. England and Australia 4-2 for Team England. Joe Beninati alongside Courtney Martinez-Connor, a five-time national champion at Maryland. Court, both of these coaches told us to expect a up-tempo, high-scoring kind of a game. Were you surprised by the low scoring in the first 30 minutes?
You know, they're both capable of putting
Yes.
up big numbers. But again, without a shot clock, making sure you're being patient with the ball. But ultimately, two factors are leading to that. Some big-time saves for Team Australia. And then on the flip side, turnovers are culminating into just not as many opportunities for Australia.
5 years ago, Megan Whittle for England gave England the bronze medal in overtime over Australia. Right off the jump in this game tonight, she made herself feel right at home.
Megan Whittle, remembering those college days well as that last World Cup championship in 2017 where they won that bronze. She's so quick. A quick step, a quick release. Oftentimes that's what's culminating England into getting on the scoreboard. And then on the flip side, some saves right here. Back to back to back. We have Addie Cunningham stepping up in goal, being confident, which I love. But then it's just a matter of clearing the ball along with it.
She and Katie Greenwood in a good goalies duel in that first half of play. The numbers from the opening 30 minutes, anything stand out in particular?
The biggest things, look at that draw control, 7 for England, 1 for Australia. So right there, you're relying on your defense needing to step up big in order to get the ball. Ideally, you want to be able to translate winning draws with scoring goals. So there's that back and forth that we're seeing throughout this entire game. And again, just a 4-2 score.
English draw circle specialist Liv Wimpenny with a fine effort for Phil Collier and friends. Back with the start of the third in just a moment.
We want the gold medal. We've been dreaming of it our entire lives. But this summer, we want more. We have an opportunity together to change the sport and women's athletics for the better. The eyes of the lacrosse community will be on us. Never has this sport been more popular. Never has this platform been bigger. So what's this about? A team of talented women with a shared goal. Inspiring a new generation, one whose identity is a sense of pride and not a limitation. Relentlessly pursuing equity in our sport and beyond, we want the greatness of all women's athletes to shine. The world will be watching, Let's put on a show. This is more than a medal. Are you with us?
Fasten your seatbelt.
The game you've always loved just found a new gear.
Introducing World Lacrosse Sixes.
It's speed and scoring.
Tempo and transition.
Athleticism and action.
It's big-time energy packed onto a smaller playing surface.
It's the game you've always loved, brought to you at warp speed.
It's lacrosse on the Autobahn.
Don't blink. This is World Lacrosse Sixes.
On a steamy night in Towson, Maryland, you're watching the 2022 World Lacrosse Women's World Championship on ESPN. We've played 30 minutes. Megan Whittle has been in the driver's seat a couple times on the board for Team England. 4-2 leaders over Team Australia, led by Trish Adams, the Adams sisters working in concert together. Trish's sister, Jen, an incredible player at the collegiate level, and present-day coach nearby, just a few miles away at Loyola. Those two have some catching up to do, trailing Team England by 2 at the break.
You know what's amazing? Trish made the trek over to the United States first, and that's when Jen, her younger sister's like, I think I'm gonna try this. They didn't get the opportunity to play together. Trish went back to Australia and stayed, and obviously we know all about Jen Adams' amazing career at Maryland and beyond for Team Australia.
Wimpenny has had the solution to Stacey Morlang inside the draw circle in the first half. Let's see if that changes. Wimpenny bouncing this one down. Morlang comes away and there's a whistle. Lead official tonight is Liz Brush. Courtney, we referenced the humidity, the high temperatures. Will it have, do you expect it to have any effect perhaps on Team England?
I mean, I don't see how it can't. When you look that they're coming from chilly, often rainy, to really hot and humid, you know, it takes a toll on you, physically, mentally. So it's why they have to be smart with the ball, making sure to take their time, do things, control the game at their own tempo. However, when the ball's in Megan Whittle's stick, her eye is at the goal.
Crossing over, gets inside the 11-meter fan and is fouled. Whittle will have a free position shot. Gunning for the hat trick. If you were with us an evening ago on ESPN2, 3 different American players with 3 goals or more. Whittle to fire on Carly Evans, she scores! Megan Whittle.
Megan Whittle using a lot of deception. Again, I talk about her speed, but we see that she brought her stick. It's almost like she dipped that front shoulder, making goalies think that you're gonna shoot low when you actually keep it high, pop it high. Megan Whittle changing up on her 11-meter. That's her second one of the night.
Carly Evans between the pipes now for Australia. That's Britt Reid jogging back to the goal circle. Courtney, you and I are very familiar with Britt from her outstanding season, the inaugural campaign of Athletes Unlimited last year.
She did it outstanding in the Athletes Unlimited. I love the fact that she was the leader on that defensive end of the field. Communicating probably stems from her coaching days. She's an assistant coach at the NCAA ranks as well.
Coaching at the University of Denver with the Pioneers. Whittle has the ground ball for England. Now a 5-2 advantage. Ferrum works it quickly, trying to get it for Southorn. Hump goosed it into the goalie circle, and Carly Evans collects. Carly gets defensive help from her sister Laura, who's on this green jerseyed Australian squad. This is Heighton on the move. Ashton Heighton racing in alone. One-on-one with Reid, who made the stop. Britt Reid, cool as a cucumber there, stopping the breakaway from Ashton Hiron. A loose lacrosse ball played off of the surface.
We see speed coming in, but Britt Reid kept stepping out high on her arc, looking to cut away angles from that attacker coming in full speed. Creates the illusion that she's taking up even more of a cage, hence the ball going right to her stick.
That save was very familiar for you, and thinking back to Athletes Unlimited, what's not familiar, I don't remember Britt wearing a knee brace as significant as the one she's got on tonight.
I'd have to agree with you on that one, but it's not seeming to change her abilities in the goal cage whatsoever. Again, looking confident and strong, which is tough to do when you're coming off the bench, but she was brought in to be a spark on the defensive end.
Wimpenny in tight, great stop there. Evans answering Britt Reid save for save. The goalkeepers taking over early in this second half.
As we look right here on the left-hand side of the screen, a save from a shot by Liv Wimpenny. You love when a goalkeeper can step in, both of them coming in the third quarter. And if you are able to be confident in cage, whether your team is winning and or losing, that tells a lot about the direction, that little extra oomph that you provide to your team, making sure that that energy is felt all over the field, not just on the defensive end. Oftentimes attackers are excited about that as well and hopefully translate it into the offensive set.
That's Courtney Martinez-Connor. I'm Joe Beninati, just about top of the hour with you. 2022 World Lacrosse Women's World Championship on ESPN. Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland, on the campus of Towson University. Johnny Unitas, NFL MVP quarterback for a long time with the Baltimore Colts. We're watching England and Australia out of Pool A play. The lid lifter on this tournament a night ago, the United States down in Canada in an exciting high-scoring game. This is low scoring between England and Australia. The Aussies in the green. Scotland will get underway tomorrow. They have a date with the Stars and Stripes. Morlang fires, Reid crosses over and makes that stop.
And we're seeing two defensive stalwart teams right now that are playing incredibly. Their goalies are doing their job, making saves, which is what you want out of your keepers. We've seen corrections, each team clearing the ball easily, especially Australia. That was a big change that I think needed to be made for them.
Whittle on the pass, inside for Ferrum. She was bumped by Beck Lane.
Joe, we saw Australia right there moving that ball around quickly. However, all eyes were on Stacey Morlang as she was making that shot. Britt Reid all over it.
Free position shot closing in Ferrum on a bouncer, and Evans eats that up. Carly Evans plays it along. Beck Lane, full sprint, looking for a numbers advantage. Great ball movement, down low, score! Perfect fast break offense.
Tic-tac-toe down the field, exactly what you want to see out of your transition game. Started off with the save, and the ball moving from one player to the next. We had Georgia Latch finding Haley Safarnos down on the crease. Whenever you think in transition, one more pass, find that extra player. You don't need in transition when you are beating the opposing team down the field to have a 1v1, but a 1v none with the goalkeeper. And Australia playing excellent team lacrosse, but started out with the defensive great play in a save.
Must have been an emotional moment for Haley Safarnos. We talked earlier about the passing of her mom, Sue, Australian lacrosse royalty. In the aftermath, Haley said there were so many flowers that were sent to the home. It was as if the Safarnos house became a florist. Trish Adams, Jen Adams, with their approval as Australia gets the ball back. Down by 2, just past the midway mark of the third quarter. Not a lot of real estate on the sideline. Trapped there and fouled. Whistle that will supply the ball to Australia, Madison Copeland. Courtney, is it me or we have not said Laura Merrifield's name very much, if at all, for Team England? Near turnover, almost swiped by Southorn. She would have had a solo waltz to the net. Aussie's defense comes to the rescue. This is McNamara jogging to the midfield line.
You know, I think with the back and forth play, this game right now is definitely more to the youthful side. Those with fresh legs, those who are coming off NCAA seasons, or maybe even the coaches who've had a lot of practice with their team. It's not easy to do. Think about that. Almost 100 yards in each direction.
Merrifield gave birth to a daughter named Riley recently too, so she's still getting back into form. Nielsen drills that one off the post. There are a few mommies in the World Championships.
There are. Look at Stacey Morlang, a mom of 3. She hasn't been with the national team in quite some time, but wanted to come back on U.S. soil. She was a part of the 05 team that won the gold medal when it was in Annapolis.
Snapshot rejected. Reid has been razor sharp since coming off the bench to replace the starter, Katie Greenwood. Careful clear now for Reid and Team England. She encourages her mates to get upfield.
You saw that hand action moving. It's why on earth am I going to clear it? If it's not a definite catch by her defensive players, no need to rush. Just wait. You are in the lead. Again, there's no shot clock in the international game.
Just under 5 minutes with which to work in the third. There are 29 nations involved in this World Championship tournament. Quick passing to the inside, just gets away from Shires as she was trying to draw a foul. Torres Anderson working an attack along with Olivia Homp and Meg Whittle for England. The lowest scoring game so far in the tournament. This is day 2. 13 goals combined. As Homp works the circle, the whistle comes, giving the ball back to Australia. Takeaway. Whittle in transition, stick check by her opposite 23, McNamara. Foul called against the Aussie. 4 minutes left, running time in this third quarter. They'll stop it in the final 30 seconds. Another great check from McNamara. Quass, who is often the outlet on the clear, with Latch working through midfield, running away from Emma Oakley. Now Quass will cool the Jets inside the restraining line and 3:40 to go. It was 4-2 England at the half. The two teams have traded markers in the third. Safarnos for Australia, Whittle again for England. She has the hat trick.
Rightly slow, Australia taking their time. It's been quite back and forth, several turnovers, but many of them caused in this third quarter by great defensive play, either hustling, getting a trail check. We saw about 3 back-to-back.
Shires out there to defend. Bounce shot on the way. Reid stepping way out off of her line to take away the angle. The race for the ball, closest to it where and when it leaves the playing surface. That gets possession for Australia. Latch will move it. Latch, who plays collegiately nearby for Jen Adams at Loyola. Nielsen's always looking to sneak to the cage. Latch digging in now, off the split dodge. The feed and fire, bounce shot, score!
Georgia Latch, this is her second assist back-to-back for Team Australia. As they're moving that ball around, you saw a hedge towards Georgia Latch. She is a dodger as well, but Ashton Hiron capitalizing as soon as she saw her defensive player leave and look to head towards Georgia Latch, who they thought might be dodging. She cut straight to goal. That's exactly
there was a foul coming, but Hump buries it.
We see right here this costly turnover that translated into a goal. Turnover for Australia, goal for England. What I love right here, you see any way possible, she's putting that ball into the goal. Olivia Hump, one hand, it was almost like she was being held back a little bit, but being so agile, using the strength in her wrist to get that shot off. When I think of England, I don't think of flashy, and not saying that that's like a behind the back, but it's still so very impressive.
Olivia Hump giving England the 9-4 advantage. We apologize for technical difficulties. We get you back for the remainder of this fourth quarter inside of Unitas Stadium. 9:21 left off of the timeout. England's Olivia Hump has gone back to back to back with Megan Whittle, and all of a sudden what was a 6-4 English lead has Whittle all smiles coming back off the sideline on top with the largest advantage of the night, a 5 spot. England under the direction of that man, Phil Collier. And when Phil was talking to us in the lead up to this event, he said the more we face Team USA, the more we pick up our own level of play. They wanted desperately to win the first couple of games against Australia and Scotland before they run into Canada in pool play, Pool A. Originally, this was a 30-nation World Championship. Uganda, unfortunately, had to withdraw. Uganda not able to attend and compete due to challenges in the visa process. Whittle and her Team England here and accounted for, and Megan shooting straight 5 out of 7.
You know, I love when coaches say that they're okay with flying under the radar, that they want to surprise people. But after tonight's game, being able to separate themselves as they had in this fourth quarter, I think a lot of eyes are opened, and they're going to be watching what Team England does for each and every game from this point forward. Again, they won the bronze medal in 2017, so I'm not quite sure how far they can fly under the radar.
England calling the timeout. You see at the bottom of the screen, Australia has 2 timeouts left. You're allowed 2 through the course of 60 minutes. The timeouts do not carry over into overtime should we go there, although each side is afforded 1 in the extra session. The last time these two teams tangled, it went to OT, England winning bronze in 2017, and it was Whittle through the raindrops in the 4th overtime session that provided the winning margin. Liv Thomas is out there, that second midfield unit for Coach Collier, along with Emily Gray and Tilly Shires. We've seen Shires make a few flashy moves inside the 11-meter fan.
Look at how far England is spreading Australia, making them want to come out and play them. Again, without a shot clock, they're going to have to step out, force the ball out of England's stick if they want to remain in this game and have a comeback.
This is the point I was trying to make before Hump went to the goal and scored the last time. Inside there, foul inside the 11-meter fan. If you're England, when do you start to slow the tempo and drain time off the clock?
You know, I think they were doing a good job right there. They were subbing, waiting for different players to get on once they were there. When you have that matchup, why not take it, especially if they're hot on the field and they're really feeling it right now.
Shires working in. Shires creamed there inside. She was floored. Shires, described by Coach Collier as a bit of a maverick. She's not afraid to take some fancy shots. Hiron is exiting with a yellow card for Australia. The Aussies playing one player down. That was a bit more than a gentle shove. You guys talk about being displaced. Shires was displaced. Bounce shot here. Score! It just gets through. Carly Evans. Shires gets England into double figures.
Tilly Shires, she was a member of the U19 team back in 2015, joined the senior team in 2018. This is her first World Championship with the senior team. To be able to compose yourself after being knocked to the ground, that's hard to do. You know, when you look at women's lacrosse, it's a non-contact but contact sport, as you can see.
Yes.
And you have to be tough. You have to be able to bounce back after taking a hit like that, and that took a lot of composure, and she handled it very well.
Team England having a good chuckle about it on the sideline, breathing a little easier now, a 6-goal advantage over the Aussies. Nielsen with the steal. Since this game was 5-4, England has ripped off 5 in a row. Breaking it open, Theo Quast now trying to bring the Team Australia back into the mix. With Hiron off on the sideline, the Australians are short-handed still. Remember, this didn't stop Beck Lane from scoring a shorty back in the opening period in this game tonight. Quast playing a little keep away from Emily Knowles.
You know, last time they were able to take England by surprise when they were a player down. However, at this point, why not wait for the yellow card to expire, make sure you can become even again.
Lane's pass crossed up Nielsen. Oakley was there hedging out defensively. Hannah, though, with great poise. As the Australians look to get back to full strength, Beth Varga jogs in off the sideline. Varga, perhaps the strongest athlete, most physical on this Australian side. Latch, sidewinder, missed it. Britt Reid has taken over in cage for England in the second half. The Aussies going with Carly Evans after Addie Cunningham was sharp. We've seen all 4 keepers in this game. Time's a-wasted now, 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Ferrum moving towards the 11-meter fan. Tomorrow on ESPN Plus, Australia and Canada. The Aussies get right back to work at 5 p.m. Eastern. USA and Scotland. Courtney and I will have that double dip from Unitas Stadium on ESPN Plus.
You know, that's a tough turnaround when you play less than 24 hours from your first match into your second. That's called ice baths. Back in the village where all the athletes are going to be, making sure to ice up their bumps and their bruises before they take the field again and have to battle in this tough Pool A conference.
Just sending it wide there was Southorn. She was a top-level field hockey player in the past, Georgia Southorn. These are her first steps with the English senior national team. England is going to ask for time, using its final timeout of the game. Team England over Australia. There were a number of folks who know a great deal about the international game who were singing the praises of Team England heading into this tournament. The 3rd seed in the Women's World Championships. Mainly and largely due to the offensive strength of Megan Whittle, who has shined tonight.
Now, I talk about her quickness, that first step, the quick release on her shot, but ultimately her competitive spirit. We see each and every time she scored, she was getting a little bit more confident. She was getting pumped. Again, when your players are doing something positive on the field and you can feed off of one another, especially the energy of Megan Whittle, I think that's what propelled England in this fourth quarter, giving them that bigger separation from the Australian team.
She went to high school at McDonough, right? Nearby to where we are.
Correct.
She was an all-conference high school sprinter, and that speed is an evidence whenever she has a lacrosse stick in her hand.
And we talk about her winning at Maryland. She won in high school, 4 state championships as well. So, you know, again, that competitive spirit. She's not someone who likes to lose, and she's going to do everything in her power. And we've seen that evident tonight. Even when they were a player up, she was going hard to the cage and took a one-on-one dodge in that instance.
England out of timeouts. Australia still has its 2 remaining. 4:27 left in the fourth. We'll play stop time once we get to the 2-minute mark. 10-4 for England, in cruise control for now, and with the ball. So much defensive communication, you can hear it at field level. Beth Varga repositioned behind Olivia Hump. Hump jogs in, looks for Tors Anderson. Wimpenny surrounded by Aussie defenders. She was fouled.
Those stick checks too close to the face. Oftentimes, when an attacker is spinning in a circle, if you just hold your ground defensively, they'll check themselves.
Off the free position, England does not go to goal. Wimpenny able to keep possession for England. Court, there are over 200,000 people who participate in lacrosse back in England at the university and club level, youth level. This is the senior national team showing off on ESPN, holding on to what is now a 6-goal advantage, their largest lead. They've scored the last 5 goals of the contest.
We see a different look defensively. They're playing a backer defense. That's somebody pressuring the ball, and then another player sitting back on that 11-meter waiting for them. They're just looking to create a bit more chaos. They want them to do those long passes so they're able to intercept them and hopefully win that ball back.
Interior, Anderson with a buzzer to the top corner. Tors Anderson, probably the most vocal player in the dressing room for England. There she speaks loudly with that shot upstairs.
So that's the only problem when you're pressuring the ball all over and have a backer. Somebody's going to be left wide open, and how you beat that is by moving the ball quickly. We saw the ball leave Claire Farham's stick last before finding a wide open Tors Anderson. Again, heads up, finding the open player. I do like that Australia was trying something different defensively to get that ball back, try and create a turnover, but England right now is just firing on all cylinders, finding their open teammates and seeing the offense very well.
Courtney, you were a 5-time national champion at the University of Maryland. When did you start playing lacrosse? What age?
I was not your typical lacrosse player. I started late. I was a softball player.
Tors Anderson started when she was 11. That sounds late. Were you later than that?
I was 1 year in middle school, heading off to high school.
Gotcha.
Which is late, and actually a lot of these English players don't even start until they are at university, which, I mean, their drive, they're intense, they always go 100%. I feel like there's always a Lucy on the team. There's no Lucy on Team England this year, but they're so kind, but yet so intense. And their work ethic, I think, is what propels England forward each and every time they play.
No Lucy, but a whole bunch of Emmas and Emilys. This, Tilly Shires, with 1:27 to go in the fourth, and England cruising towards the finish line now. A 7-goal advantage over Australia, having scored the last 6 goals of the game. What was it, a very close 5-4 festivity. Shires angling in. Shires gets flattened. Play allowed to continue in the final 65 seconds. This, the tournament opener for these two teams. England in the red gets the day off tomorrow. They'll see Scotland on Saturday. Those two sides face each other quite often in friendlies and in European competitions. 40 seconds to go. Australia, a date with Canada tomorrow on this field at 5 p.m. Eastern. 30 seconds left as England will maintain possession and claim victory once more over the Aussies, who they beat for bronze in 2017, and a little window dressing from Tilly Shires.
That is game management, if I've ever seen it, for Team England. Moving the ball, being patient. Just seconds left, and Tilly Shires inside, being able to manage the ball in a lot of traffic. Again, their sticks are there defensively, Australia, but putting their body, slowing that cutter down once she's caught the ball is, I think, what the biggest thing that was needed for Australia's defense. But credit England to their drive to goal, their heads up, their vision, and then handling that pressure.
Australia had some travel difficulties getting into the country. It almost took them 50 hours to arrive from Australia through San Francisco here to where we are, about 15 miles or so north of the inner harbor of Baltimore, Maryland. England, convincingly, a brilliant fourth quarter for the women in red. Team England, a 6-0 fourth quarter, roaring to victory in 6 seconds time. It'll be official, and Meg Whittle was the hero with 5 goals in her own right. The final seconds drip off the clock. England, the 3 seed in this tournament. No trouble with Australia by the final of 12-4.
Joe, this was a team effort for England from the defensive end, starting with both goalkeepers all the way out. They worked the ball up the field, they were patient, and then I think they really connected on the offensive end of the field, creating space for one another. Obviously a big game for Megan Whittle, who we talked about at the very beginning of the game.
I know you're big on adjustments. If you're going to adjust for Australia when they get set for Canada, what's top of mind for you?
Taking care of the ball. Again, since you don't have a shot clock, wait until you have the sure thing. I think the struggle that they had with clearing the ball and then offensively feeding it inside when maybe somebody wasn't quite open. So I just think being a little bit more patient and knowing that they have a great coaching staff with Trish Adams, Jen Adams, Adam Sears, Suzanne McSalvin. You know, I do expect that they will make those adjustments right before they turn around in less than 24 hours.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Falling in this one tonight by the final count of 12-4. England gets the day off tomorrow. They'll get Scotland on Saturday. Australia, Canada at 5. USA and Scotland, 8 p.m. Eastern. Games that you can see on ESPN+. For Courtney Martinez-Connor, for all the men and women in our technical crew, great job by them on this first full day of the tournament. Joe Beninati, thanks for your time. It is England all over Australia. This has been a presentation of ESPN.